everybody, my name is Megan. You're watching Miss Megan Knits, and links to everything I talk about today will be in the description box below. Except important note about the links. I've been linking to my Ravelry pages, and all the yarn and pattern info is on that Ravelry page, so I'm not going to link to it again in the description, but anything that's not on the Ravelry pages will be linked in the description, so you can check it out. So before I begin, just wanted to remind everybody how you can find me on the other areas of the internet. You can subscribe to this channel, like and comment on my videos, or you can go to my Pinterest, Miss Megan Knits. You can follow my Instagram, Miss Megan Knits, same way it's spelled here. And you can follow me on Ravelry, 321TIKA. You can friend me, that'd be really cool. I like friends. But here we are, so let's get started. How is everybody? Coronavirus is in full swing. Supposedly this coming week is supposed to be the worst week in my state, so we're getting ready for that. It's been interesting being home. It's been interesting everybody else being home. It's been interesting having virtual doctor's appointments. That's been fun. I don't know. It's a weird time we live in. I actually have a remote appointment with my college advisor soon. Like today, later today. I'm nervous about it because I have to pick classes for the summer semester. I will be working over the summer because I'm kind of far behind, so I'm trying to catch up. Because I'm only a part-time student, so gotta keep plugging away at it. And then also talking to her about fall classes. So that's gonna be fun. I'm really nervous about that, but she was really nice last time I talked to her, so I guess I don't have anything to worry about. What's new with me? I've been doing okay. I've been holding up. My mental health is doing pretty good, actually, surprisingly, considering the situation we're in. And I've been doing lots and lots of knitting and crocheting and loom knitting. So this will be a long episode chock full of all kinds of knitting goodness. Speaking of knitting goodness, let's get right into it. So first thing, I released a new pattern. Now it's free, so anyone can get it on Ravelry. And, let me move that. It's for one of these plarn mats. I made a video a long time ago all about plarn, and I talked about how to make one of these mats in it. For those who don't know, this is a sleeping mat for the homeless in my community, or in any community if you make one, made out of plastic grocery bags, made out of plarn. I have the skills to write up patterns and publish them on Ravelry, so I did. I wrote up a pattern for this. It's completely free. You can just log on to Ravelry and go get it. It's called Plarn Sleeping Mat for Charity, I believe. If you if you search Plarn Sleeping Mat for Charity, it will come up. I'm Megan Schufelt, so that's the designer, that's me. You can find it there. These mats are nice and big, they're nice and swishy, they're not too heavy, and they come with a carrying strap. All made out of plastic grocery bags, so you're recycling and you're helping someone in need. This is one I've finished. This is my 6th mat I've made, so I've kind of perfected it, I think. We get really good feedback from the people who receive these in my community. And I'm really excited. So written pattern. I have 2 methods of instruction in my written pattern. I have a condensed pattern, which reads very much like a regular crochet pattern. And then I have an extended version, which reads more like a blog post. So you can see pictures, you can get my tips and tricks. It's great. I include in the cover page which pages are which, so you know if you want to print only pages 2 through 4 or 2 and 3 or whatever it says in the pattern, you can just print the printer-friendly version, you know, those pages, and not have to worry about all the other pictures and stuff. You can just browse it on your computer, or you can just leave that alone if you'd like. But it's there, so you're free to access it. So anyway, my FO, I guess, Plarn Mat 6. My next Plarn mat I'm going to try to make completely white. This one has brown with a gray border, but I'm going to try making the next mat completely white just because I want it to look nice. And that's kind of what I'm going for. I haven't made very much plarn for the next mat yet. I'm running out of loops. Mom and I have to have a big cutting session soon. So, we can make loops to loop for the plarn. All that instruction on how to do that, by the way, making the plarn as well as crocheting the plarn is in the pattern. So you have everything you need. Also check out that video all about plarn on my channel, where I talk more about plarn and you can actually visually see the stuff happening more than just pictures, so that might help. Okay, speaking of videos, I have a new video out. It's a time lapse of me knitting the Ribbing on the Runway pullover by 10 Hours or Less Designs. This is it that I'm wearing right now. It took me about a week to knit, knitting, or maybe 2 weeks, 12 days I think, knitting on and off. I couldn't knit on it continuously. If I did knit continuously, it might have taken 10 hours or less actually, except for the modifications I had to make to the bottom. I'm tall and small busted, so I made the sweater longer on the bottom to accommodate my figure. I also made the sleeves longer. I tried it on as I went and just did the sleeves to the length that they needed to be. And the bottom has ribbing on the bottom. I'm not sure if I can, I'm surrounded by knitting projects right now. I'm not sure I can stand up and show you, but if you check out that video, you will be able to see pictures and video of me modeling it. So yeah, I'm kind of awkward as a model. My facial expressions aren't quite there yet, but you'll get the point of what the sweater looks like. You can see it has a nice sideways cable and 2x2 rib coming up. I modified the neck too. The neck was supposed to be twice as tall and fold over, and I made the neck half as tall. One, because I was worried about lengthening it and playing yarn chicken with the kit I had, and two, because I didn't really feel like knitting anymore and I thought it looked good like this, so this is how it is. It's made out of super bulky yarn. The pattern also comes in a worsted weight version, so if you don't like super bulky sweaters, you can knit it in worsted. The difference is that the worsted version probably will take you more than 10 hours because you have a lot more stitches to make. This is super bulky right now, so it's super warm, it's super cozy. I got this as a blueprint kit from my mom for Christmas. So this is the Cloudborne Fibers Superwash Merino Super Bulky. Not Merino, Superwash Wool Super Bulky. But you can also buy just the pattern from 10 hours or less on Ravelry if you would like. Or I believe on their website actually. They have a website too. But yeah, my video is linked. I'll link the video in the description below, and then I also have it linked on my Ravelry page for this project, so you can come see that. Sorry, my mascara is sticking together. Okay. Yeah, this is my FO. Charcoal Heather is the colorway of the yarn. My next FO has to do with the times we're in. I actually sewed it. I don't have very good sewing skills, but I managed to make these. I was really torn on what to do about the whole homemade face mask thing. Like, they don't seem like they work very well. They don't seem like they work nearly as well as a proper mask, but also as a citizen and not as a professional who needs these masks, I shouldn't be taking those masks away from them, right? From the people who actually are on the front lines, who actually are dealing with COVID patients, who actually do need this. So, and the knit and crocheted ones just seem like they don't work. The yarn has too many holes. I feel like it would trap stuff and it would just be icky. So I don't really know about that. I think there's some benefit to the point where if you're wearing a mask, you won't touch your face as much if the mask fits properly, because if not, you'll be screwing with the mask. But I was really debating it, and then my mom and I kind of talked about it, and we basically came to the conclusion that it's probably better than nothing, as long as we aren't lulled into a false sense of security by the mask. It might help if we're going to be in public places. And the only public places we go these days are the grocery store and the pharmacy, except for one trip through the drive-thru at McDonald's for a Big Mac, because I freaking love Big Macs. And I was craving one so much. And then the new ads on TV for the Big Macs where they're like showing it like really like seductively, and I'm just like drooling over it. Like, I wanted a Big Mac so bad, and nothing else in my life is going normally at this point. I can't see my boyfriend, I can't see my therapist, or you have to talk over FaceTime. It's weird. And, it's just uncomfortable, so having that Big Mac was really soothing for me. I don't know, it was like an emotional thing. You don't think a sandwich would be that emotional, but it's an emotional thing. Regardless, I made some face masks. That was the point of that long story. I made some face masks, and I'm going to show them to you. So this is the first one I made for my mom. She picked out the fabric. And this one has elastic loops on the sides. And it's got a little bit of wire in the nose, so you can bend it and adjust it to your face. I'm not going to put it on because it's hers, and I'm wearing makeup and might get makeup on it. But it's got 2 layers of fabric. It's got the inside layer and the outside layer. And that was what I made. And then I made this one for me. And these are just scraps of like cotton quilting fabric I had laying around. This is an elastic we had in the sewing kit. My mom had phases of crafts. I might have talked about this before. She had like a knitting phase and a sewing phase and a cross stitch phase and a crochet phase and like a phase of everything, where she like goes out and goes all crazy on this craft and then abandons it. So we had leftover sewing supplies. So this is mine. And you can see mine has bias tape. It's not stretchy, it's not elastic. You place it over your head and neck, and then place these ties over your ears and tie them in the back. So I'm just gonna kind of, so you see it fits over your nose and under your chin. This pattern is from Sew It Online. I found their video and then that linked me to their pattern. The video was very helpful for a beginner knitter like me who likes to follow beginner sewer like me who likes to follow these videos. It's for help with these kinds of things. But this is the pattern. You can see they used ribbon, but they also gave instructions on how to sew elastic in. So you can use elastic loops for the ears if you'd really like to use elastic. I find that the ribbon ones, or the bias tape ones, stay on my ears better. But I have weird ears, apparently. I have, like when I go get my glasses fitted, like they're always like, oh wow, you have such a short head and such weird ears. I'm like, thanks, you know? But anyway, so this is a pattern, and it includes pattern pieces that you can cut out. It includes pretty much everything. The only thing I'd have to say is you have to sign up for their email newsletter, and I think in a time like this, if you're donating things, right, you're donating this pattern for free for us to use to make masks for ourselves, and they say for hospitals are asking for them. And you're gonna force me to get your emails, like you're gonna advertise to me because I wanted to do this. I don't know, it just feels weird. I did it anyway, of course, and I used my email that I use for signing up for things like this that I don't really check all that often unless I'm looking for something in it, so I'm not sure if they would send me emails or not, but it just feels weird to be marketing to me based on something I want to do for health and safety and charity. My pattern for Plarn, I don't have any restrictions on. It's completely free. I only published it on Ravelry and nowhere else because I don't know how to publish anywhere else. I don't have a blog, right? If I had a blog, I'd put it there. Oh, dog's barking. But anyway, that's kind of my little rant about that. I didn't expect to be going on a rant about that, but that's my rant about that. Anyway, I made a bunch. So this is a white one with elastic loops. And then we have a black and white one with bias tape. We have this color. We have two of these. This is all just leftover fabric I've had from stuff, leftover cheapo fabric. And another one of these. So my family will wear these when we go out. We don't go out often. We're only going out for the grocery store, the pharmacy. That's basically it. But when we do go to the grocery store and the pharmacy, that'll be a little extra barrier for us. And it didn't take anything away from anyone who actually needs these products. Any of the healthcare professionals, any of the whatever. We're not buying up masks and hoarding them. We're using what we have to make some. And then that way, people who need them will have them. Okay, that's enough about that. Oh, those masks also have a pocket between the layers where you can put a filter of some kind. If you have a filter, paper towel is supposed to work. Shop towels are said to work. Tissue maybe. Vacuum cleaner bags, people have been saying, like a vacuum cleaner filter you could put in there. We haven't put anything in there so far, but the pockets are open just in case. Okay, my next trick, my next FO is this baby blanket. I made it for the craft fair that I'm going to be doing whenever life gets back on track. This is the, what is it? Baby blue blanket. You can see, do I have the book here? Yes. I've been using the Crochet Stitch Dictionary by Sarah Hazel. Hazel, I think Hazel. And I've been using the Fan and V stitch. So that's what this whole blanket is made up of. And then for the border, I did a round of single crochet so I could establish stitches. I did a round of double crochet, and then I did a round of crab stitch, which I had never done before, but I saw a lot of crab stitch borders on Instagram, now that I'm on Instagram, that I thought looked really cool, so I decided to try it on this blanket. It's not blocked, and it's ruffling a little bit, so I must have miscounted my stitches, but I think it looks pretty good. All the way around. This yarn was Lion Brand's Pound of Love in Pastel Blue, which will make another appearance in this episode. And it's a nice big rectangle baby blanket for the baby to snuggle in. For my craft fair. Somebody will buy it. Now, to go with this, I had the brilliant idea of let's make it a set, right? Because generally you can sell a set for more than you can sell the individual items for because the perceived value goes up. So I'm like, I'll make some booties. Now, in the past, I've made adorable little booties using Jada and Stitch's video tutorial on wrap slippers for babies or something. I'll link it. And I've, in the past, made them. They've turned out really good. So this time is not her fault. This is my fault for how this one came out. But here we have a giant, kind of lumpy baby booty. Now, there's only one. The reason why there's only one is because I kind of abandoned the idea of baby booties after this one because I'm not a fan of how this one came out. I think if I would have used a smaller hook maybe, I don't know. She doesn't give a gauge, she gives a hook size, which is helpful in some ways, but in other ways it's not helpful because then if I have a different gauge than she does, the booty will come out huge or too small. But yeah, that's how this goes. It's kind of big, it's kind of lumpy, it's kind of awkward. So in the past, again, I have made them, they've turned out great, but this one did not. So I abandoned that idea. My next FO is the ladder stitch beanie I presented to you. Did I present it to you or did I just put it on Instagram? I don't remember if I was working on this last time I saw you guys in YouTube form, but I'm working on making some beanies out of the ladder stitch. Now the ladder stitch from Up, Down, All Around Stitch Dictionary by Wendy Bernard. I am using the ladder stitch. And I'm going to make this a pattern for loom. Now I know this is a needle knitting stitch dictionary, but I felt like I could convert it to loom. It's just knitting and purling and slipping stitches, right? So how hard can it be? So I took out some Bernat Premium and Bittersweet Variegated. You'll recognize this from my zebra. You'll recognize this from my Funky Circles blanket. This is Red Heart Super Saver in Patty Green. And together, I made a little toddler-sized beanie. How cute is this? I'm gonna spin it because the variegated yarn makes it interesting. How cute is this? It's got a 3x3 rib at the bottom, and then it's ladder stitch all the way up. Super simple. Ladder stitch is a 4-row repeat, and it's easy to memorize and easy to follow in your loom, so I didn't have any problems with that. So I finished that one, and I'm starting another one to perfect the technique and make sure everything's good. I'll be making several of these, and I plan on publishing the pattern if all goes well. I know I've said that before for my Gooseberry, and it's kind of come back to bite me, but I think this would be a good pattern to publish. It's not super tricky, it's nice and easy, and it looks really good. But anyway, this is the one I'm making now. Purple and black. Same size, same toddler to 1 year size. This is my 30 peg boy loom. And I'm using Stitch Studio by Nicole Basic in Wisteria. I know this is a mess because I'm pulling from both ends. And Red Heart with Love in black, metallic. It's got sparkles in it. It's blowing out. Okay, you can't really see it, but it's black with sparkles in it. And I'm making basically the same hat. I'm gonna make it in a couple different sizes and a couple different looms. This is a 5/8 gauge loom. Really, any loom with a multiple of 6 pegs will work. So you need a multiple of 6. So 31 peg loom won't work. This is a 30 peg loom, so it does work. 36 peg loom would work. 32. No, 35 wouldn't work, but 36 would. 32 wouldn't work, but 24 would work. So, you know, just pick a loom that has a multiple of 6 pegs. If you want to do it on a finer gauge, make sure your yarn is appropriate for your loom, and just make sure your loom has a multiple of 6, and you'll have a nice tighter, finer gauge ladder. But this is what I'm working on right now. I picked this one because it's like a small size, but it's a good size for craft fair hats. Plan on giving this hat, or selling this hat at the craft fair. So I'm gonna do this one too. Make a couple of them, because if I'm gonna make all these sample hats anyway, I might as well try and give them to somebody and sell them. So that's good. You can see my rib came out a little looser on this hat. I hope it kind of scrunches up as I'm using the E-wrap knit stitch. You can use any knit stitch you like, but it will come out tighter if you use another knit stitch. I found for this one, using the E-wrap knit stitch was perfectly fine. Oh, and I am holding my yarn double. I should have mentioned that. This is worsted weight yarn held double. You could use bulky weight yarn. You could use super bulky weight yarn. It would come out a little more dense, but you could do that. So, options, options, options. I'm making room for myself in the bed as I talk about things and putting them on the floor. Okay. So, tat, FO, beanie, whip. Okay, whip. Gooseberry shawl. Now my gooseberry shawl. Oh my god, my gooseberry shawl. I was working on it and I realized that my 2 triangle sides had different stitch counts. And I did some math, figured out one of them was correct, one of them was 2 stitches short. Figure no problem, I'll take back till they're the same as each other, make sure it's the correct number of stitches, and then keep moving forward, right? I tanked and I tanked and I tanked and I tanked row after row after row after row. I could not, like, it was just a teeny little sliver of nothing when I was looking at it, and I was like, okay, clearly the mistake is way far down, and I don't like the way the towers are coming out in the middle anyway. I wanted to change those a little bit. Frog it. I frogged it and restarted. But I did manage to get past the point where you saw it last time, but it's not very far past the point because I had to start over and do it again. So let's pull it out. Make sure I'm looking at the right side. You're looking at the right side. So there it is. It's kind of difficult when it's held up to the light because you can kind of just see right through it and it doesn't look like much of anything. But if you look at it, this is the linen stitch for the grasses. I've got some reverse stockinette background on either side of the towers, but it's much less background than there was because the towers are much bigger. You can see them now. When it's laying flat on a surface, like on your lap, on the floor, you will see the towers very well, but right now they're just kind of difficult to see. And then some more reverse stockinette, and then linen stitch. I think the back of linen stitch looks cool, so I'm just going to show it, but it's the back of the shawl. Isn't that fabulous? My first ever blanket was made of linen stitch squares that I sewed together, and it was terrible, but it looked terrible. But it was my first project, and I was very proud of it. It wasn't my first ever project, but it was my first blanket, my first big project. Okay, so this is my gooseberry shawl. I am using, what yarn am I using? I'm gonna use my Webb's receipt. BC Garn Bio Shetland in flannel gray, sheep nougat, sapphire, and pebble. So let me show you my colors. This is the one I was just showing you that's attached to my shawl right now. And then I have these 3 others. Pebble, sapphire, sheep nougat. It's a very thin yarn and it breaks very easily. I've broken it several times. I broke it trying to frog it. I broke it knitting with it. I've broken it a lot. So it's very delicate. Be careful with it if you do order it. It's nice and economical, but it's not my favorite yarn. It knits up not too scratchy, but still like a real wool scratchy. So that's kind of what we're doing. It's kind of what we're working with here. I'm using size 5 needles. They're the Knitter's Pride marbles. That's my gooseberry shawl. Those are the towers and grasses that I was working on now. I've also got, let's see if I can remember it off the top of my head, pebbles and shells. I've got sand and birds, and I've got waves. So 7 stitch textures. I'm really nervous about publishing that pattern. I know I'd need test knitters. I haven't used test knitters before, so this is a new experience for me. I looked in some of the test knitting boards or the groups on Ravelry, and lots of them seem really specific, and it's good that you're specific, like laying out what you want, but I don't really know what I want. I'm a little intimidated by the whole process. So I'm just gonna knit the shawl for me, and then see if I want to send it maybe to a tech editor, or send it off to some test knitters, or both, so that I can make sure everything comes out properly. But the whole process is really intimidating. It's a really complex shawl. Maybe I need to start a little simpler. with my designs, like hold on to this and start simpler and then work on this pattern later, because I would need to do charts, so I would need a chart software that I don't have, and it's just all a really big project that's really intimidating me right now. So I'm trying my best to just kind of block it out and just knit the shawl and then see what I want to do from there. So if it doesn't end up published, that's why. But if it does end up published, well then that's good, right? I'm trying to, I don't know, I'll see. Gooseberry's such a beautiful place. I have another beach near me named East Beach, where it's basically just rocks and water. That's a much simpler shawl. So if I did that in more of a DK weight and just did the rock and water patterns from this shawl, then I could kind of, I could get by. It'd look a little better. I'll see. I have plenty of other projects to work on though, so I'm not sure I'll ever start that one, but it's an idea. Granny square blanket. I started a granny square blanket. I've been on Instagram scrolling through patterns and looking at all these beautiful granny squares, and I was like, I can do that. I'm capable of doing that. I want a granny square bedspread for my bed, but I can do that. I can make that, right? So I went stash diving and pulled out some yarn, just a little bit of yarn, no big deal. And I am going to be using this yarn to make a granny square blanket bedspread for my bed. Or if I run out of steam, maybe it'll be an Afghan, because I might not be able to make the number of squares I need. I need 168 squares to make a queen size bed bedspread. And then of course joining in the border, so that's a lot. I might make an Afghan or a couple of throw pillows instead, but this is the yarn I have. I was gonna go through and talk about all of these yarns, but they're on my Ravelry page and there's a lot of yarns here. So I'm gonna show you the squares, which are the exciting part. The squares are the, oh, what is it called? It'll be on my Ravelry page, but it's Emmy and Lynn's, their blog. I use the triple puff granny square, I believe it's called, because there's 3 layers of puff stitch, triple puff granny square. But I'm not entirely positive on that. Oop, I knocked you over. Okay. I have like 13 squares so far, so I have a long way to go. My goal is to use this gray Karen Simply Soft. I have 4 skeins of this. I'm not sure if that'll be enough, probably not. But I'm going to do a gray square as my last round, or a gray round as my last round before the border, and then join them in gray, or maybe join them in white if I run out of gray and don't want to buy any more. So, but all this yarn was from Stash, so I just pulled a bunch of stuff off my shelves and I'm making a blanket out of it. So we'll see how this goes. I'm making the squares kind of randomly, starting in the center, and the only rules are this round has to be gray, like I said, and the center and the border are the same color. Everything else is like I'm just pulling colors as I think things look good, so we'll see. This is the most recent one I did last night. I added pink and teal sparkle, to the blanket because I was running out of yarn, I was thinking, and I needed some more yarn. And the pink works because this is a sugar wheel. This is one of the, almost like a carrot cake. It's like a knockoff carrot cake. And it has this pink color in it, and I thought it looked good. So I added this pink color, similar. And this teal, I was looking at it, I thought it looked good. But now that I'm looking at it in this square, I'm like, I'm not so sure. But I'll make a couple more squares with it and see if I like it. There's this one. Did you recognize this blue from the baby blue blanket? Yeah, I'm using scraps, I'm using full skeins, I'm using just kind of everything. Here we have one. And then we have, let's put these away. Those I haven't woven in ends yet. These I have woven in ends. Recognize the purple from the hat I just showed? So those are all my squares so far. They look really good laid out together. I'm gonna join them, join as you go granny style. So I'm gonna add a granny around and have a granny around joining them, and with either white or gray. I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking gray might look better, but I'm thinking I might run out of gray, so white might work. Make it a completely from Stash project, so I wouldn't have to order any more gray. We will see. We'll see. My hair is just falling out. My clip is just falling out of my hair. There we go. Okay. So that's this. So that's all of my current whips. My next whip is a really, really awesome whip. It's not my whip. It's from my great-grandmother. My mom's grandmother. So she is my grandpa's mom. So my great-grandmother. Her name was Minnie. My mom found in our house a box. Let's see. How am I gonna do this? A box that her aunt had sent her with her grandmother's work in progress in it. So I'm just gonna open it up and show you guys. We were digging it out, seeing if we could do something with it. Now that I crochet and I knit and I do all these kinds of things, we were thinking about, like, could we finish it? Could we give it to somebody? Could we turn it into pillows? Like, what could we do? This is the Wild Rose Afghan, as shown in the November 1977 issue of Woman's Day. So it's strips of Afghan with cross-stitch flowers on them. And the kits looks like, because this looks like it's still in the package, of all of the yarns you need to do the cross-stitch. So she didn't get to that part yet. It came with 2 skeins of Princess Yarns knitting worsted weight 100% custom blended acrylic, machine washable and dryable. So this is old yarn in skeins in the colorway Natural, if anybody's interested. I'm sure this yarn is gone by now, but Princess Yarns, I wonder if they're still around. And here is what she's done so far, or at least, now she's made all the strips for 2 Afghans, right? There's 2 kits in there, 2 patterns, 2 Afghans. So she's made all the strips already. She just needs to join them, or she needed to join them and put the cross stitch on. So here I have the Afghan. It smells old. It is old. It's got junk on it. Now it's done, this looks like Tunisian to me. It says it's done with an Afghan hook and it's in Afghan stitch. So this looks Tunisian to me. I don't know how to do Tunisian crochet, but luckily she finished all that part for me. They're kind of joined as you go, kind of like my granny squares are. Like, she made the strips, but she left a row out, and then you're going to join as you go to the next one. And these 2 are already joined. But she also has, like, all of the individual strips needed to make the whole blanket. Now, I cannot embroider, right? I mean, I've tried cross stitch. It didn't come out very well. My mom used to cross stitch like a lot. We have lots of cross stitches in our house because my mom used to cross stitch. And I was like, well, I can do the crochet and join everything together, right? Put the border on, make it all good if you do the cross stitch. And then we could finish these Afghans. But then we're kind of like, well, what will we do with the Afghans once we finish them? So it's kind of like, I don't really know what I do with the Afghan once we finished it. It's not really our style. It might look cute in my room, but I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of interesting. We're kind of debating what to do with them. I kind of want to join the Afghans and see what comes next, because you could totally cross-stitch something different on them, or just leave them not cross-stitched. You know what I mean? But I'm not really sure. We were thinking maybe we could make pillows out of them and give them to all her grandkids, but they're not really sized and shaped to make pillows. My mom's not super sentimental about her grandmother. We're not really sure how she ended up with this. Probably no one else wanted it. So we're trying to figure out who would want it or what we'd do with it. There's 2 Afghans in here. We could make one giant Afghan. There's 2 Afghans in here. And it'd be a shame to just let it sit unfinished. You know what I mean? If I have the ability to finish it. But I don't know how I'd finish it. If I'd finish it into what it's meant to be. If I'd finish it into something else. So we'll see. But I thought that was a really cool thing to show. And And then in this box, not the box that my great-grandmother sent to my great-aunt, there's another box in here. This is the smaller box, there's another box. What am I saying? This is the bigger box, there's a smaller box in here with all that stuff I just showed you. In the rest of the box, padding it, is all this yarn. All this off-white, kind of acrylic, moth-proof yarn, because moths don't eat plastic. These are different, so I'm not sure why I should put these in there, maybe in case we needed extra yarn. I don't know. Pull skein acrylic off-white. 9/17/01. Oh no, order number, date 9/17. Doesn't say the year. Or maybe 17 is the year. This is super cool. This skein was 77 cents. This skein right here. But Mom told me this yarn should go in my stash because I gotta do something with it. Okay. But anyway, that's really cool. Okay, now I have a funny story about another whip. So my mom is knitting the Luella sweater, and she broke a needle. So she was on 16-inch circulars doing the yoke, right? Snapped the needle in half. And of course, in doing so, managed to drop like 3 repeats of stitches off the needle because it broke on her and everything just started sliding everywhere, and we caught everything. And then I was tasked with fixing it because I've been helping her with this sweater this whole time. You know, I'm a little bit more of an advanced knitter than she is, so I've been helping her out. And I have a great picture of the broken needle here. And then I also have a picture of me fixing it here. Laddering up all the stitches, looking at the lace chart, making sure everything looked right. Now you can't even tell where it is. So I just wanted to kind of brag about that because I saved the day, I fixed it, it looks really good, no one will ever know. So I'm really happy about that. Good news is I had another set of needles. She was about ready to move on to the 24-inch circulars for the yoke anyway because it was getting nice and big, so she just used those. But she also owes me now a set of size 6 16-inch circular tips. Like a pair, not a set. Like a set of all the sizes, not like that. Like a pair, because that's what she broke. That's all good. I also, speaking of my mom, she was ordering something off Amazon. She's like, does anybody need anything on Amazon? You know, I'm placing an order. Does anybody else need anything? And I was like, well, I could always use more yarn. You know, I was joking, right? My neutral colored yarn is good. She's like, what's a neutral color? And I'm like, oh, you know, black, white, navy, gray, khaki. You know, those kinds of colors. And then I completely forgot about it. And then we get a package at the door and my mom's like, this is for you. And I'm like, what is it? Turns out she got me a pound of white. Karen 1 pound white. This is my only new yarn acquisition this session, this 2 weeks. She got me a pound of white, which is going to be really useful because I like this yarn. I like working with it. I like this yarn. I like working with it, and it's just really fun to have some white to kind of balance out other colors. So I'm not going to have to worry about running out of white anytime soon. I might join my blanket with white. That's what I was saying. Like maybe I'll join it with white because I have all this white, so this will be definitely enough to join it. I'm not sure about the gray, but hey, we'll see. So we're at 41 minutes of time. That's about everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. A reminder again, you can find me on Pinterest and Ravelry and Instagram. Those links will be in the description, and I talked about them at the beginning of the episode. And I will see you sometime soon. My name is Megan. This has been Miss Megan Knits, and I will see you in a future episode.